I wish I had known that Brit Milah always start on time and wedding always late. The journey is endless.
It's full of surprises.
It's a bumpy road, but it gets real nice.
It's not as simple as it seems, but it's incredible.
And fun.
My first time that I entered an Orthodox shul, I wasn't intending to become Orthodox. I just wanted to observe and be as inconspicuous as I possibly could be. Upon entering, I realized this was not going to be so simple because about half the men were standing up and half the men were sitting down.
One of the first time I went to the shul on Shabbat, my phone rang. The whole shul stopped and stared at me.
I remember the first time I had kugel at a Hasidic friend's house, and my friend said, "This is geschmackt," and I thought, wow, I love geschmackt.
My first Shabbos at a yeshivish family, and the Rebbetzin I noticed was wearing a tickle or snood. Upon my return from shul with the Rav, I noticed that the Rebbetzin was not covering her hair, and I was very perplexed. I didn't understand. I came to the conclusion that there must be some kind of rule that women do not have to cover their hair at night.
So when I first wanted to buy a pair of my own tzitzis, I went to the store and I asked him, can you help me buy a pair of tzitzis? And he's like, there's Rashi, Rabbeinu Tam, Rashba, there's cotton, wool, short, long. And I was like, whoa, I just want a pair of tzitzis.
The day I found out that it's permissible to milk the goat directly over ice was gewaltig. I wish I'd have always known, because I would have enjoyed it for so much longer. To go along with my Shabbat Kiddush would have made it so much more enjoyable, and I missed out on so much without that.
So my friend asked me about the book I was reading. I told him this is a terrific book. I definitely giving my ashkafa. I wish I had known the difference between ashkafa and askama.
I wish I knew what Shmorg was before I tasted it.
I wish I had known what a sheitel was.
I wish I knew just how complicating buying a pair of tzitzis really is.
I remember hearing about that you have to walk around the beamer 7 times, and I own a beamer, so I asked my Harusa if he ever heard of walking around the BMW 7 times, and he has never heard of it. Now until Simchas Torah came, and we have a beamer in the shul, and we have to walk around it 7 times.
When I was new to yeshiva, and I was learning all these new concepts, I heard a lot of young Bachman like myself mention afternoon and evening Seder. And I only knew one type of Seder. So I imagined the guys getting together with 4 cups of wine or 4 different drinks. That's what I imagined it was, not really knowing much about it.
A few years ago, I bumped into a rabbi that I knew at the grocery store, and he wished me Shabbat Shalom on a Thursday. I remember feeling so confused, because as far as I knew, Shabbat starts on a Friday.
I was 18 or 19 years old before I found out that Hanukkah is actually properly pronounced Chanukah. And I thought to myself, what are they doing, spitting at each other? I don't get it. What are they trying to do? Then I learned that's not the only word that goes that way. It's amazing.
I had been a history major in college, and I had read that during the Middle Ages, during the Black Death, the bubonic plague, the mortality rate among Jews was much lower than it was by the Goyim. And the reason for this was that the Jews had built into their rituals hygienic practices that required washing of the hands and bathing. And so we all lined up to do Al Natilas Yadayim, which I was observing for the very first time. I got extremely excited because I thought this was living history, and I blurted out, "This is how the Jews survived the Black Death. This is living history that I'm seeing." And I was extremely excited. I don't know what the family thought. They must have thought I was extremely weird, but I was very excited.
When our 3 children got engaged and told us the wedding would be in 3 months, they were a little surprised when we told them that Leslie and I had a 23-month engagement.
Back in the day, it was once a year. We had Thanksgiving dinner, everybody around the table. Now it's once a week, and it's Shabbos, Kodesh. It's beautiful.
In the frum world, totally different.
This young lady just found out about that on Shabbos you're not allowed to go into a car. And she was working for a non-Jewish person who told her, you must come to work tomorrow on your Sabbath or you're going to be fired. The walk was about a 4.5 mile walk, and she did it without any qualms at all. And after Shabbos, she came over to my house with a big smile telling us how easy it was for her to walk to work and back.
It was Friday night at the Zone. 12-year-old boy had washed his hands on Hamoitzi. I noticed he was writing on a piece of paper. When I went over to him, he showed me the piece of paper. It said, I know I can't talk now. What blessing do I make?
A young boy I know walked an hour to shul on Shabbos, and he wasn't even from yet.
And that is the beauty of these dedicated people. They do what they know they will do, no challenge at all. And therefore, little by little, when they get to know it, so it comes very smooth, and they are people that we should always look up to.
The journey is very powerful.
It's a remarkable journey to watch.
The complete happiness and contentment of all real Baalei Teshuvah is a happiness and contentment that most frum people can only dream about.